now the easy part comes. Okay, yes?
So when you're doing like the L, does it like d pi and 2 pi, are they the same? Is there an easier one to
That's
do?
it. That's the easiest one for this. We'll talk about a polygon in a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would do 2 pi r, and here's the reason. Listen carefully. Because most likely they're going to give you the radius because you need the radius here. Okay? That's the reason. So I always use that one because it's just I know it's a shortcut. So instead of having to multiply by 2 at the end. All right, so now here we go. What's my radius? So all I have to do is go back in here. So 2 pi, my radius is what?
5.
What's my height?
10.
Plus 2 pi, and my radius is what?
5.
Okay, so now I'm basically done. See, once you have this equation, this is pretty simple, right? So what is my answer? 2 times 5 is?
10.
10 times 10 is? 100 pi, right?
10 times
10. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. And a pi, right? And then 5 times 5 is what?
25.
25 times 2 is?
50.
So what's my final answer, guys?
155.
So you use pi 2
What?
r. You use a 2 pi r for the L and the B.
Yeah. Why did I do that? Because remember, 2 pi r is the same as what? Pi d. So I plugged in the one that I have the radius. Yeah. All right. Any questions on it? Does everybody make sense of this? That's how you would do that problem. Okay. And let's do another one. And by the way, you can memorize this right here. Cylinder. Because, by the way, that's always going to be for a cylinder. What I'm doing is giving you one general one that works for all of them. So you have that and you can always solve for it if you need to. This is what it would be every single time if you're doing a cylinder. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody go with that?
You always start with that.
You always start here and then work it to this. And I'll show you why you do that in about 3 seconds. Okay? You'll understand it when I do some problems on the other side. I just want to make sure that you get cylinders down first. All right, so look at this shape. Now it's a little more difficult. Let's say that this is a square. Let's just say it's a square for ease today. For ease. Say it's 10 and the height is 15. So it's 10 and 10. Okay? And the height is 15. So it's like looking at this. Now watch. It's like looking at this. It would be like this is 10, this is 10, it is not. This is 10, and then this is the 15. Everybody got it? That's what you're looking at. 10 by 10, and then 15. Does that make sense? So, once again, we need the lateral surface area, which is the distance around this way. All of that. And then the two areas. So we start with our first equation, right up here. Surface area equals L plus 2B. Now, class, what is the equation for distance around this? No. What is the distance around?
Oh,
Side square.
Circles the circumference around a polygon. What is it? It's called the
Perimeter.
perimeter, which is, remember, we broke it down the other day. What's that equation?
S squared.
N times S.
Yes.
N, number of sides, times size of the side, or perimeter, right? Put perimeter here. Perimeter. Perimeter. Oh man, I can't even spell perimeter. Oh, good heavens. Oh, no, there you go. There we go. All right. So now, times the height, right? So remember, what's L? It's the circumference or the perimeter times the height. So perimeter times the height. Plus 2. Now, what's my equation for base? Now, my area of my base is what? What is this shape? It's a square. So what's the area? What's the equation we use? We use base times height or
Side squared.
S squared. Either one, right? They both work. Does everybody follow? Because this is a square. If this was a polygon, what equation would we put here? What's the equation for the regular polygon? 1/2 a
P.
of p, right?
Yeah.
Remember? So depending on what this shape is dependent on what equation you use. If this was a triangle, what equation would you put in there?
Half base.
What 1/2 base times height. So whatever equation, whatever shape the base is, that's the equation you put in for the area of that base. So now, what is the number of sides? Somebody tell me, how many sides do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? What's the size of the side? 10, good. What's the height?
15.
Plus 2, what's the size of the side? Right?
How's 15 the height?
Because I have it written here.
Oh.
This should be here then, just so you know. This. Okay, number of sides, n. So 4 times 15 is 60. 60 times 10 is?
200.
Plus 2 times 100 is?
200.
Add it up.
800.
Does that make sense? Any questions? Is everybody following this? So
Wait, so is the 15 the line going this way?
this is the line going this way. That's the height, 15.
Okay.
That's the height of it. And that's why I showed you guys on this, but most of you didn't look up when I was doing it. 10, 10, 10, 10, and then 15. So I was showing you so that you could see it visually, because if you don't see the 3D shape, it's kind of hard to draw it sometimes. You kind of can get confused when you draw it. Yeah.
So the line for a box or a square or whatever is always going to be an SH.
NSH, yeah.
NSH stands for what?
N stands for number of sides.
No, the whole
S-
thing. The whole thing was a circle.
Lateral surface area. Lateral. The L.
And that's just always for the shape of the surface area, not the actual length.
That's the surface area.
And it was like 2B or 20.
So like
2B.
Okay.
It's the same equation.
Yeah.
And then 2B, the B is the area of the base. The base is a square, so we use the square formula. If the area of that base is a triangle, you use the area of a triangle formula. If it's a regular polygon, you use the regular polygon triangle.
So would that 3D square count as a prism?
Excuse me?
Would that 3D square count as a
Technically, if it's not a 3D, it's not total. It's like a prism. Yes, this is a prism, but it's not a cube. A cube would be 10 by 10 by 10, because it'd be exactly the same. Yes.
L and B are going to both be area.
What?
The L and B are both going to be area.
Everything is area. This is area. This whole thing is area. That's what we're solving for. Look, what we're solving for. Look at here. Look, what we're solving for is the area of this, this, and this. So if you were to have, and here's the thing, if you were having to paint this entire room, you would need to buy paint for the area of that, and that, and the floor. Okay? So that's what you're doing. Does that make sense? You're solving area of multiple sections, and this is the way to do it the best, most efficiently. So let's do another one. Okay? I think the bell's going to ring any second here. Or no, there's actually no bells. Okay, but this is what you're doing. You're breaking it down, and that's why I said this is not an easy lesson. Okay? It's not an easy lesson. But once you get it, it's actually a lot simpler. But you have to get it. If you don't get it, you're in trouble. Alright? So let's say that my shape is a triangle, 10 by 5, and you need this number. And you'll know why in a minute. And the height of it, and I'm not going to try to draw the 3D shape, is 10. How would I solve? So let's start with my equation. Surface area is equal to what? What's the equation of surface area?
Lateral.
L plus.
2B.
Okay, so now looking at my shape. what is this? So what is the L going to be represented by? The what? Perimeter times height. Does that make sense? I gave you the perimeter. How did I give you the perimeter? 10 plus 5 plus 14 is what? 29. Does that make sense? You got that perimeter. Okay, so now, 2b, what equation will I use for the base? What's the base, guys?
Oh, wait.
It's a triangle, so what is the equation?
It's a half times base.
It's a right triangle, or it's either a right triangle or the other one. Either one, they both work. So 1/2 what?
Base times height.
Alright, so let's go ahead and solve. Plug in our numbers. So, perimeter is what? 29, right? What's the height? What's the height, guys?
10.
Plus 2 times 1/2 times b, what's the base?
5.
What's the height?
10.
So, 29 times 10 is?
292.
Plus 2, and this one cancel, 5 times 10 is?
50.
50 plus 290 is?
340.
Wait, why are you using perimeter?
I'm sorry, what?
Why are you using perimeter?
Well, what shape is this? It's a polygonal shape. So when you use a polygon, you use a perimeter, right? So what's the perimeter? If they're equal and they're all equal sides, that's why we used n times s. N times s is because number of sides times s. These are not all the same size. If these were all the same size, then you would do 3 times whatever that size is. But it's not because they give it to you separately. Does that make sense? That's why I was saying, that's why I said you have to start with this equation, because every time it's not going.
I will always be some sort of perimeter.
It's either perimeter or circumference times the height, always. It just depends on what this shape is what you're going to use. Whether it's a circle, a square, a rectangle, or whatever. Does that make sense? It could be a dodecagon for all I care, and it's going to be in your homework. Okay, so that's why you need to know the general equation, and then you plug in these other equations. Hence the reason why I tell you to memorize them, because if you have them memorized, you can quickly enter them, solve your equation. Part of when I grade your test, if you don't have this, if you don't show me this work right here, if you don't show me an equation, you're going to get -2 out of 4. Even if you get the right answer. Do you want to know why? Because you can't get the right answer unless you cheat, okay, without writing your equation. So write that equation down. That's going to, first off, it's going to help you make sure to get them right. Secondly, if you miss, let's say you do miss math and you end up with a 40 and you end up with 330, I'll go back and go, well, they have the right equation. That's +2. I see the simple math there, so now it's only -1. You're going to do better off. You're going to be better off. Okay? All right? Does that make sense to everybody? So when you do 5 times 10 and get 40, because sometimes people do that. Not that they should, but they do. All right? Okay, so you have homework from last night. The homework from last night is page 339, 11 through 18. Tonight, and here's what I want. I want you to, you're not going to finish all of this homework. If you do that, you would be amazing. All right, I'd love to be you. So the second homework assignment, which is going to be due, is 345, 1 through 16. Okay, so there's 2 sets of homework that you have. By tomorrow, everybody has to have 339 done. That has to be done. If you 339, 13 to 18,
11
or 11 to 18. So this has to be done tomorrow. 11 to 18. 345, 1 to 16. This must be done. This you need to work on. Now look, you should have worked on this a little bit already. Okay, you should have. Okay, so I don't expect you to work more